Hello everyone. Hello and welcome to the July 2026 meeting of the City Club of Florence. My name is Justin Ludwig. Just as a reminder, the City Club's program is independent and not sponsored by the Sislaw Public Library. I want to thank the library for providing us this space free of charge. This program is recorded for broadcast later at our local community radio station, KXCR FM 90.7.
Put the microphone up by your mouth.
For our audience, when you have a question for our speakers, please raise your hand and wait for the microphone to reach you. This way your question will be heard by our radio listeners. Florence just celebrated the 250th anniversary of America's Independence Day last week. As summer is now in full swing, many more community events are approaching. The City of Florence is hosting its block party Friday, July 17th from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m., followed by a day of local volunteerism known as the Power of Florence, July 18th. To learn more, the many more local events that are planned here locally, community members are encouraged to visit the local online community calendar, rivercal.org. That's rivercal.org. This month, I'm pleased to introduce Nora Kent, Lisa Walter, and Priscilla Washington from Florence Organizes. Florence Organizes is a nonprofit, nonpartisan, community-led human dignity group committed to promoting equal rights, equity, and inclusion. They've held many local events since their inception in 2017, including most recently the Juneteenth celebration. Without further ado, please welcome Florence Organizes.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. And it's, I guess I'm a little shorter. Yes. I want to thank you all for being here and for taking time to find out a little bit more about Florence Organizes. What is Florence Organizes? What is FOR? We're a nonpartisan activist group supporting the Florence community. We focus on FOR more than what we are against. We don't want to say we're against something, we want to say we are for something. So obviously that means we're not for the bad things that seem to be going on around us, we're for the good things. We want people to have joy. It's hard to find these days, but we want to support each other and go forward with something good to celebrate. Oh, let me see. I forgot I need to do this. Get these things going here.
And also she didn't say her name. This is Priscilla Washington.
Did I not say my name? I'm sorry. I am Priscilla. So let me see if I can figure out how to do this correctly. Nope, that didn't work.
No, you put
There we go. There we go. Whoops, that was easier than I thought.
Okay.
So this is an example of one of the community events that we held early on. This is the first Women's March that took place in, what was that,
16.
17, yeah. Should know that, but it's now got to be quite a long time ago.
This was actually 2018.
Was it 2018?
It's a better picture. Okay.
It's a better picture. It's a good reason to use it. But you can see we've got a lot of women. You see our little pussy hats there on some of them, and we've got signs that are all saying something that is positive, like justice and stand up and peace is precious. These are things that are important to us, and those are the things we want to bring to the community. We believe we can make change by peacefully objecting to what is wrong and what is against our Constitution, not against principle and against the, not against principle and, no, here. Let me say this again. We are peacefully objecting to what is wrong and what is against our Constitution, what is against our principles, and what is against the people of the country. That makes a little more sense. So let me go on to the next slide here. This is FOR's mission statement. We bring together people of diverse backgrounds by promoting self-determination, community resilience, and civic engagement to protect human dignity and constitutional rights. So what does FOR do to support the community? FOR organizes such events such as rallies and marches, which we have done every single year since the first one. And we have family-friendly celebrations, workshops, and informative events, which we hold all year long. A couple of examples. Many, many years ago, we held an event at the city cinema, sorry. And that was Dolores. It was a film that talked about, it was a documentary type film, and it was talking about a labor leader and activist who co-founded the country's first farm workers union. And the film explores her fight for racial, economic, and gender justice. We raised $2,800 that day at the City Light Cinema. I've lived here too long to not get that right. I'm so sorry. So,
and we were raising it for the DACA kids, the Dreamers, that were in our community.
And we raised the $2,800 for the Dreamers. We had food brought into to the theater, and everybody had dinner there. It was really quite a memorable event. And we've also had, this is just an example, we've also had many, many other events, like I say. This one was, what did you call that earlier?
A vigil.
A vigil, where Lights for Liberty was a vigil. Oops. How did that happen?
Touch screen.
Maybe there's an easier way to do this. Then the other one is just an example of some of the things that we've done since then with the potluck type events that we've held. So in response to the unpopular results of the 2016 election in January 2017, the first Women's March took place here in Florence and across the country, as well as all over the world. One woman, Nin Devo, spearheaded the march here in Florence. It was such a huge success and so well attended that she decided to keep the momentum going by inviting everyone who attended to meet together to form a new organization with 4 teams that would support 4 important areas of need within our community, and that was healthcare, human rights, education, and environment. So in the beginning, those 4 teams were very, very active, and each one did some amazing things. I don't know that much about what the others did because I was involved so thoroughly with the human rights team. And over the next 4 years, each group worked hard to make a positive impact on our community through informative events and a wide variety of activities specific to their team's goals, and all joined together for the peaceful rallies and marches throughout the year. Although every group made a substantial impact on the Florence community, the most active group was the human rights group. In 2020, we invited the community to join us to celebrate a new holiday, Juneteenth. Each year since then, we've held a community-wide Juneteenth celebration that has become a tradition in Florence. Also in 2020, the Women's March in January celebrated 100 years of women's right to vote. We celebrated with a party and invited the community to join in the Women's March. Then later that year, in August, we celebrated again with a parade down Bay Street that ended at the Pioneer Museum. So it was a great turnout with a fun parade that raised a lot of community interest. At the Pioneer Museum, we enjoyed inspiring speakers and historic reenactments in period costume, dancers, and an opportunity to register to vote. Would you like to say something about that, Leonora?
No, it was
Anything
just,
you wanted to add?
I think you did it. It was really just a wonderful event with the we collaborated with the historical
heritage
the
players.
heritage players and also last resort players. And yeah, and one of our members wrote scripts for the different famous suffragists. That's Mary Beers, of course, and she's playing Frances Ellen Watkins Harper. I don't know what your role was, Annie.
I don't remember.
But I know that we had all the, we had Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Susan B. Anthony, many others, and it was
a really fun event.
Right. Oh, okay.
After the 2020 election, activities dwindled, although the Women's March continued to be held every year in January.
They're commenting on the T-shirt.
Yeah.
Men of quality don't fear equality.
Right.
My husband actually wore that shirt.
Good for you. I have one of those.
Yes.
So if you'll remember, the 2020 election, things started all around to feel a little less stressful. We began to take a deep breath and think, oh, we're back to normal again. So because that happened, people didn't seem to put as much effort into all of the activities that we all had been doing before. So the teams began to kind of dwindle down, and the only one that remained at the end of those 4 years was the Human Rights team. And there were only 2 members left, and it was Nora and me. And then we had the change. And I'll get back to that in just a minute. In the meantime, I want to tell you a little bit about some of the final things that we did before that point. We continued to maintain the Women's March and Juneteenth. We voted, but we began to focus on voter registration. Of course, we were not trying to tell people how to vote, just to make sure that they vote. Although, of course, we did hope they'd vote a specific way, but we didn't say anything about that.
We gave free T-shirts. We gave out free T-shirts to the young people for Rock the Vote. Anybody that voted, registered to vote.
Okay, somehow or another that has switched to the last thing here.
Could I say a couple before we continue? First, let me see if I can't. I apologize if I can't get that hum out of this speaker. I don't understand why it's buzzing like that. We can hear it over here really
Oh,
well.
really? I can't even hear it.
Yeah. So
And I'm trying to
let me
figure out why
see.
it skipped. Sounds like it skipped something.
Because we're just talking, you group the voting all together. You group the voting all together, even though it's not chronological. This is okay,
It's not the order that I was in.
I apologize for the disturbance, folks.
It's all your fault.
I know it is.
That's the
Got
end.
through this.
No, let's
I've
see.
heard that before.
We got through this.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You did good. So you can say continue.
I'm not sure what that is.
All right, sorry for the brief
New.
interruption.
I've never heard it.
Anyway, what
Oh,
we did.
hang on a second, Melissa, let me get recorded again. And also, very few of us have ever had a career in radio, and speaking in a microphone can often just feel very intimidating. We are going to edit some of those verbals out for you, so
Good.
just be comfortable, okay? And don't worry about when you stumble a little bit.
Oh, thank you.
That's the
I haven't
magic
done
of
this in
radio.
years. I am so rusty at public speaking.
Yeah, so not a problem, just relax with it, and you're doing fine, Melissa.
Thank you. Well, anyway, as I was saying,
Oh,
we,
Oh, hang on just one.
Tammy, you're having trouble with the mic. That's better.
let's see.
Speak into the mic.
There you go, we're rolling.
Thank you. All right, back to this. We held the Rock the Vote nonpartisan registration events at Abby's Pizza, and she was just talking about that. That was for the midterm and presidential elections. We gave out T-shirts and lots of free pizza, and everybody had a great time at both events. that was well supported by our community leaders. And this is an example of that. This was our mayor at the time. And that was the end of that era. Because once again, the shocking outcome of 2024 election hit our community. War surged to life bigger and better than ever before. Suddenly, marches and rallies were held frequently, and meetings to address how to move forward through this new threat to our democracy were needed to support our community. Coffee Conversations was developed, our local Ice Watch was developed, and our annual Juneteenth celebration attendance exploded. Attendance at marches and rallies exploded, and many more community events and activities were organized to support the community. Lisa will tell you more about this important work that we've been doing the past year and a half, and I will say that it is no longer just Nora and me. There are a whole lot of people.
The forward button for the slides.
Good afternoon. I always get to raise the mic. My name is Lisa Walter Sedlasik. I've lived in Florence since 1980. And as a business owner and raising a family, all those things, I didn't get too heavy into helping with things that I was very passionate about. I had to kind of, you kind of have to be more middle of the road when you own a business. But I retired and I started helping the Florence Democratic Club during the election, and I helped with the office decorations and putting flowers in, and then I also did the social media sites, which is probably the Florence Democratic social medias. And so I started feeling the pulse of the country and trying to encourage positive interaction and things like that, and started watching what was happening with social media. So just the first thing that happened is just before the election, I think it was the week before, 2 weeks before, they started talking about having a rally to rally people to the importance of voting and everything like that. And I went to Leonora, met her for the first time, and asked if I could help her put on a small rally and march, and we did that. And that's how I got to meet her. And then the election happened, and as somebody who was very tied into social media, it's not just our local community, but all of a sudden there was a change. There was a change in, and it wasn't anger really at first. People were scared. People were messaging me as somebody who was on a social media site. They didn't even know what am I going to do? Blah, blah, blah. And there was a lot of fear. And, you have to admit that some of that fear is brought on by social media and by what we've become, a polarized community. So I felt at that point, Leonora and I and Priscilla started meeting, and we talked about how can we...
Also Darlene.
And Darlene, that was our first meeting. I met all of you. How can we keep our community talking, communicating, and not feeling walled in, feeling support? What are our services? So we started developing some programs. This is the first People's March we did in 2025. It was a huge success. People felt they could get out. There was a lot of people calling for demonstrating. There's always a Saturday Peace Corner, but people wanted more. They wanted to be able to express their frustration in the government or in certain things that they felt were impacting them. So this is another great picture. We had Lady Liberty and people of all different walks of life, and we walked around Florence, and people were like, so when we first started having more of what probably Peace Corner gets, people not being happy with us, but we did that. This is this was before the People's March. We had No King's Day. It was probably our first rally at City Hall.
After People's March.
And it was great. People bring their dogs. People express their feelings. One thing I've noticed is that there are people that are frustrated, but a lot of times it becomes a community event. It becomes a chance for people to talk to each other. I see people are standing, but they're all talking. They're talking about how they feel, what they can do. Is this true? That's really happening? Is this not true? Hey, what's a good solution? Let's get a hold of your legislators. Let's do this, let's do that. So it becomes a on the street great way to get action in a community. More pictures. My job was to take pictures of the, photograph the signs, get them on social media. This is a great moment. Leonora wanted to do a prayer.
Minute of silence.
A minute of silence.
Prayer for peace.
Prayer for peace. And, part of me was like, oh, people are going to want to do that. But I tell you, people stood around, and the passion and the feelings that people want for peace in our country, and it was just a great moment that we did that. These are just some posters, things that we did. There became, as throughout the country, there's been more and more opposition, but then there's also been more growth in people feeling that. But at the same time, you can stand on the corner, you can take signs, which is important for people who want to do it. But I felt very strongly, and I talked to Leonora, and she came up with this great idea, is that people needed a place to feel safe, especially in the beginning, especially marginalized groups. And so we started holding coffee conversations down at Bridgeport Market twice a month, and on Fridays, and we'd have speakers, we'd have just people would talk and communicate, and small groups. It's not really big, at the most we've had 15 people. Sometimes we only have 5, but we had 30.
We started with 45.
We started with 45, but it still gave people a chance to connect, which is sort of what you see happening here, with the music they have down at Bridgeport. People need that moment of connecting and feeling part of everything. So that was important. It isn't just standing on the corner, it is making us all feel that we can do things and have an impact. Then the Juneteenth. Now, Florence Organizers started doing Juneteenth in 2020 when Oregon created the Juneteenth holiday. And we were the first state, I think, in the nation that made Juneteenth a holiday. In 2021, the nation followed. And but the first Juneteenth celebration, I wasn't involved yet, was held at the Methodist Church, and they did it in 20 and 21 and 22. And they mainly had people bring picnic lunches, bento boxes, and they would sit and enjoy things at the Methodist Church. Then COVID hit, and also, people weren't, we were a little bit less busy with social activism, and then the election happened, and so then we started up again in 2025. Our first one since then was at Miller Park, and we provided food. So you provide food, guess what? Attendance grows. We had tons of people come. It was wonderful. Sally once ran the barbecue, and we had all these wonderful restaurants in town donate food, and we had nonprofits have tables. We had children's activities, and it was just wonderful. It was really great. And this last year, this is Miller Park also. You can see the face painting, and this was the...
And that's our
And that's what?
That's our keynote speaker.
And that was our keynote speaker.
So Sally.
And Sally.
And Sue Wilson.
And Sue Wilson.
Our
And
superintendent.
Leonora will probably tell you more about this. I was in the kitchen, so I don't quite remember what was happening with speakers. This last year, we couldn't be at Miller Park because they were having the Florence Father's Day softball event. So Joe, who's also with our group, came up with this great idea about East Woking Days area. And so we moved out to there. We were worried, like, you build it, do they come when you're out of town and they have to drive? But they came. People came. And it was wonderful. It was a great event. The fogs burned off about 1, but we had the Lions Club who cooked for us, wonderful. The restaurants donated tons of food, and we had a keynote speaker. We had Greg Evans from the Eugene City Council. and other people come, and it was just a really wonderful event. So it was great. The one thing I wanted to say that we can go is that we are the only rural community in Lane County that celebrates with a Juneteenth event. Yay, Florence! And I think now
No, it's you.
it's me.
Still you.
What am I supposed to say about this flyer? I don't know.
That's your flyer.
But I do flyers, so I guess they said I had to do this. We did, I will tell you, this was an interesting event. We did the Martin Luther, this goes back a little bit from the other thing, it was the Martin Luther Day Parade, because you had to apply for a permit to walk in the streets, and we had cars, and we had fire trucks, and we had the police escort. So it was really nice, again, we were trying to bring different groups together and be part of communication, and so I think that's just so important in this town. I'm in a couple of other groups, and I sit at tables with people who have opposing views, and it's so important to have that discussion to say, well, why do you feel this? And hey, we did this Martin Luther King Day parade, isn't that great? So that's what personally I am attracted and feel passionate about helping with this group. Now am I done?
Well, you'll see.
I don't see the flag.
You'll see the flag. That's it.
There's my flag. But since this was Justin's event. We helped sponsor. It was an Earth Day event. It was hugely successful, and I don't have a lot to say about it because I was not there that day. So maybe you will talk about it.
I'll say it. Justin can chime in. I'm Nora Kent, and yes, this was, and as Lisa said, Justin pretty much organized this whole event and got community partners, and there you can see there's EMAC.
Justin who?
Justin Ludwig, thank you. Justin Ludwig created the flyer, and he did and he invited all these community partners, and donation from the Lions Club for pizza. There was a lot of musicians. And it even got rained on, but still there was probably a couple hundred people there. Yeah, and so I think you'll probably do it again, huh? Yeah, it was wonderful. Okay, so next, hang on. I have
And the exploding whale was there.
And the exploding whale was there too. Okay,
So when you talk, you can't turn and talk to you have to.
right. Exploding whale was there also. All kinds of fun. And I think, was Bluma there too? There was somebody, yeah. And she was also at the Juneteenth, so she always adds to a lot of the fun. Okay, so next slide is, this is going backwards a little bit, just because we're just going to kind of talk about some of the fundraisers we've done, some of the other things we've been involved in. Okay, so this was 2019, and as Priscilla said, the Human Rights Group was very involved. They were involved in a group with an organization. They made up the name Heart of the Coast, and they were supporting affordable housing. Like, we went to visit a big ADU factory out in Albany, I remember. We were trying to work with the city, and anyway, we did a fundraiser after the Women's March, and okay, I have to look at the slide when I'm talking about it though. Okay, so it was a silent auction, a dance, and we had food, so it was a luncheon. And I just wanted to give a shout out to Ann Lathrop over there in the right-hand corner, who has been a benefactor to many of us. And the guy in the middle, Sonny Sundstrom, has played at so many of our events, at women's marches, at our rally, not our rallies so much, but fundraisers. And he's part of the group Koosh, the Koosh band. And that's Priscilla's granddaughter having a wonderful time up there in the left-hand corner. Okay, so another thing that we came up with last year was the idea of having a community potluck. And we've had a couple of them. Again, we invited community partners. Sometimes we had Mayor Ward spoke at this one. And then the second one we had was game night. So after we did our first potluck, I was sharing with a friend of mine from another town, and she said, well, I'm involved with this organization. It's an interfaith group up in Washington, and they have something called the Potluck Project. They literally have a toolkit you can download, and they have it bent towards whichever venue, whatever kind of group you're doing, like faith-based or community-based or also pro-democracy. So I thought, wow, that's what we're doing. We're doing pro-democracy to create a space to make a step toward connection with others. Social cohesion is not an extra. It's essential to democratic resilience. It creates opportunities to build relationships that lead to strengthening of the civic muscle. Listening, sharing, empathizing, connecting across differences are all foundations of democracy. Okay. We're winding it up to... So, apparently we like dancing at our fundraisers. Here's another one that we had last fall that was fun. It was a fundraiser for the Warming Center. And that's... David Rogers down there, he was the coordinator for the Warming Center, and of course Taylor Cohn was very involved. And so you can see and people had fun. They were afraid, there were so many people that did not come because they said, I don't dance. But the people that came had a blast. We had a called dancer, and it was really fun. And I'm not sure when we'll do it again, but it was fun. Okay, and then something else we do, or as, we try to engage people with civic engagement and promote civics. So I contacted Vanessa Clemens up in Mapleton because she always puts on the Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day. I know Brenda, you and I went to one of them, and so she's the one that had some curriculum that I could share with the school. I printed off these walk to school posters, and the principal ended up reading the Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day pledge. She would read a line and then the kids would recite. It was pretty wonderful. And what they pledged, I'm not going to read the whole pledge, but they pledged to learn the golden rule, which we don't hear a lot about anymore. And the last line in that pledge says, by participating in the Walk to School Day and taking this pledge, I too am an activist like Ruby. And we also promoted on our Facebook, and we got the press to come, so it was in the paper. So I'm hoping we can continue to support the schools in these kind of ways. By the way, they support us we put a lot of our events on their parent square, and that's how we get all those people coming out to Juneteenth and some of these other activities that we have, the potlucks, the family-friendly things. Okay, and then here comes our involvement with the Rural Organizing Project. That's something about them. It's a statewide organization that supports multi-issue, rural-centered, grassroots-based in Oregon. We work to build and support a shared standard of human dignity, the belief in the equal worth of all communities, the need for equal access to justice, and the right to self-determination. So we are one of their 95 human dignity groups, as is Florence Indivisible. And they reach out to us and we reach out to them when we need help on things. And so one of the things we had last year was a living room, what they sponsored and held it here, a living room conversation. Some of you that are in the room are up in that photo. And one of the focuses they had at the end, which was really important, because people were still so angry and frustrated early last year. They said, and when this all goes away and we have a new governance, what's that going to look like? And that was something to take away. Okay, and then we were asked to host. They have a caucus once a year all over the state. They asked us to host their caucus here, and we were able to work with Sayusla Outreach Services. And there's a photo in the bottom corner. That was the keynote speaker. She was from it was called South Carolina Blueprint, another large organization that has a coalition of hundreds of groups. And she was awesome. Okay, and now, go to a slide. This is our last slide. Since we nodded to Juneteenth a few times, we wanted to put in some of our community partners. As we mentioned earlier, the Lions Club came. Over there in the right-hand corner, that's Jaden Ruff from South Coast Health Equity Coalition. She came to the first last year's Juneteenth and brought beautiful books for the kids. This year she came and led the discussion and Q&A after we showed our documentary here. And she's just amazing. And she came to our Martin Luther King celebration too, and has spoken. And she's told me after this event, anytime you want me to come up here, I'll come. So that was South Coast, and then Sayusla Vision, of course, in the lower corner. So they were our fiscal sponsor this year, and they will continue to be that way. So if anybody wants to donate to next year's Juneteenth, you donate it to Sayusla Vision, earmarked for Juneteenth. They really liked it. They thought it was a great event, and they're going to continue to sponsor us. And then we got, we were also sponsored by Oregon Blacks for Youth and Families. Greg is a member of that, so we put his photo up there. And they really believe it's important for rural communities to have the conversations about Juneteenth. And now, I guess what I'll just say is thank you all for coming. We have some brochures back there that have our we don't have a web page currently, but we have a Facebook page, and we have an email if you'd like to join that. And I do have a closing quote. Professor and poet John Paul Lederich is best known for his work called Conflict Transformation. And this is what he says in this little interesting poetry book that he wrote. What I learned in deep conflict, to survive, people must learn to human better. I'm sorry, it's an awkward sentence, so I'm trying it again. People must learn to human together better. Thank you. Now we can do Q&A, or we also invited people to come that had participated in 4 events and just want, so we could use this as also a comment time. Okay?
I forgot to say about, we're not doing coffee conversations.
Oh, coffee conversations. We're taking off sometime this summer. The next coffee conversations will be September 4th. Thank you.
Any questions?
So Nora, if people want to get involved with FOR, when do you meet? Are the meetings open to the community? How can people get involved?
Okay.
You have to go back to the
I
microphone.
have to go back to the microphone. Okay.
Might as well stay
Our
here.
next, that's right, our next meeting will be held here at the conference room on August 7th at 11 o'clock, and we'll probably bring snacks, there's potluck lunch or something like that. And thank you for asking that, yeah.
Or
That's-
you can message on
You can also message
Facebook or email.
or email to find out more about that. Okay, yeah, because we really, we need more folks that want to get involved with, I mean, it's great we have these numbers that come out to our events, but we really do need some more help with some of the organization. We just got an email yesterday from ROP, from our organizing project. They're going to start a monthly, they're calling it kitchen table conversations, and they want to have probably a regular couple of people go to these and be able to learn and experience and come back and share with the community and with others, yes. But Renee had her hand up over here.
Yes, first of all, kudos to all of you. I've gone to a number of these events, the protest and the Juneteenth. I think they were just superb events. So congratulations on all the hard work you put in there. My question is, considering the amount of angst that I've heard around the community going into the midterms in November, I'm wondering if your organization is going to do anything in particular to address that angst.
You want to? This is what Leonard told me. So what we are doing is the Democratic Club will probably be doing things also. I have not talked to Karen about that, but we'll be promoting the different, locally we'll be promoting the different candidates. We talked about having our first coffee conversations a candidate forum to get people to understand who the candidates are in their positions, and also maybe doing another Rock the Vote, a voter registration activity in October. So those are the two things we're doing right now. If people have other ideas, that'd be great. I know that there's another group within the Democratic Club that does letter writing, postcard writing, and they're probably gonna be ramping up a lot of those activities for the summer. And you can probably find more out about that from those people. You're on that rapid response team.
Well, that's a different team. But I do know, excuse me, I do know Teresa Keller is associated kind of on her own or with the Indivisible, but she's mostly on her own, and I will be inviting her to come to every coffee conversation with her postcards, and we could probably use that time, we could have, we're getting a little burnout on always coming up with presentations. Maybe we keep our announcements short and have a few announcements, and then really get down into spending time writing postcards, or even getting in the corner and making some phone calls. Thank you. Thank you for that question. Yes.
On your September 4th, you didn't mention the time, and also the time on the August 17th meeting.
August 7th.
August 7th.
August 7th is at 11. I thought I said that.
Yeah, you did.
Okay. And coffee conversations, are we going to do it at 10, right? Or did you want to change it? We're in the process here. We're transforming ourselves to election people now. So I think
So you'll get it out?
we'll get it out.
We'll do an event.
Well, the event would not be on a Friday though. Well, at night. So we'll talk about it. We will talk. Probably come to the first conversation on a Friday, September 4th, and we'll have a lot more to tell you about. Pardon me? If there's anybody here not on the email list, we have a sign-up sheet over here in the corner. So you'll find out more. You can find out more about what we're doing.
I just wanted to respond that Florence Indivisible does have some election protection actions that are coming up. I don't know how many people here get reminders that we put out every week, but the links to all of that are in there. For the most part, they're virtual, and you can get a recording if you don't happen to be there, like I nearly was late to this because there's, What's the Plan every Thursday, noon to 1. And so I was watching that and taking notes like mad, ate my lunch, got over here in time to make this meeting. Thank you for all you do, all you've done, all you will do. You're pretty mighty, and I'm an admirer of your group so much. So thank you.
Yeah. I just want to say, there's another group in town called Florence Area Community Coalition that was formed like in 1988 to bring together people helping people. So many of the organizations and agencies that help people are in Eugene, Springfield, and the FNCC was formed to bring people together from there to over here once a month, and that continues. And I guess what kind of perked my interest particularly is that one focus is community well-being, health, and so we have rebuilt, we almost died during COVID, but we have rebuilt very many good connections with social service and government agencies in Eugene, Springfield. And we would love to have you join us. I think we're maybe.
To become an organization as a member?
Yeah, become a member. At one of the
Have FOR become a member of the coalition, or maybe a team from FOR to go and join the coalition.
yeah, anything.
Someone
Like
from
that.
the coalition someone from FOR coming to the meeting every month and representing and bringing information each way, right?
Yes,
Okay.
correct. And the other thing that you might not be aware of, but at the Friday things, there's all kinds of questionnaires out there related to health and community well-being. Then that would be a good place to bring those to let people know there's this. In fact, I could come up probably with 3 right now, but people want to know, what do you need? What you see is missing? So anyhow, I think it would be a very fruitful.
Right.
It is a coalition.
Yeah. So Brenda, we usually have a presenter once a month. Would you like to present?
I'm leaving
I mean,
town.
twice a
I'm
month.
leaving town. I'm in
Oh.
September. So I'm trying to help
Okay.
keep things strong.
Okay. But let's email her.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda.
Just a question about Nin. You had mentioned the woman who helped start FOR at the very beginning in 2017. Just wondering if you could speak more about her and her contribution.
Probably Priscilla can do that. And what?
I couldn't hear what he asked.
He asked about Nin.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
You wanted to know more about how Nin started Florence Organizes, what she was thinking of, what her
Yeah.
vision was.
Yeah.
I don't know what you said about her already. All right, if I understand correctly, the question was, tell us a little bit more about the founder of FOR.
Yes.
Right? Okay, she was a very kind person, very spiritual person, and she was always looking for ways to moderate and to lift up and to bring people together. And like everybody else at the time of the first Women's March, she was traumatized by the election and needed to do something about it. So she did what she had been doing for years. She organized, gathered people together, put the word out, and created in Florence the first Women's March. She collaborated, of course, with the national. There was a national organization that was forming, and being a source for assistance all around the country. She joined with them as well. She was so inspired by the outcome and the enthusiasm and the energy that came from that first Women's March that she felt that she didn't want to let it just be a thing that happened once and went away. She wanted that to be something that could grow and continue to develop and continue to support and create a unity within the community. So she came up with the idea of Florence Organizes. And again, the whole point of the name is so that we could shorten it to the word for, which means we are for the benefits that we can bring to the community, for the benefits and the well-being of everyone that's in the community, and not just for the fact that, you know, we are mad and angry and frustrated and all of those emotions that just tear you down and make you sick. She didn't want that for us. She wanted us to be well, to be able to prosper, and to be able to fight back in a positive way. And so she formed Florence Organizes. What she did is she put the word out that anybody who came to the march, you're welcome to come to this particular event that she was going to hold at one of the restaurants or the library or somewhere. I don't even remember. What was it, here at the library? Anyway, so lots of people, dozens and dozens and dozens of women showed up. I have no idea how many, but wherever we were, it was packed. And she gave a little speech. She talked a little bit, told about her vision, and then said, let's break up into 4 groups. This one's going to be about healthcare, this one's going to be about education, and this is going to be about human rights, and this is going to be, I forget the 4th one. Environment. So everybody thought a moment and thought, well, you know, I kind of lean towards this particular aspect or that, and we all broke off into those 4 groups. And then everybody, and I remember there were more than a dozen women. There were like 20 women at least in each group. A few men here and there, but most of us seemed to be women. Anyway, we talked. We had a list of things that we needed to discuss and to find out about each other, and who felt strongly about this or felt strongly about that, and how we want to organize how we're going to represent this particular aspect of, you know, our new organization. And we picked leaders, and you know, we kind of learned how to take care of what we wanted to take care of right there, and went on to do that. And that's why for the next 4 years we grew very strong, and we were building and we grew. And even though the following 4 years after that it sort of dwindled down because there wasn't that much of a need, but there was definitely a strong need, and each and every one of us and every one of our organizations within the Florence Organizes community, just, you know, we went about and did a lot of good for the community. Tammy?
And what was her name?
Her name was Min Bebo. B-E-B-E-A-U, French name. I don't, did anybody here know her?
She was a neighbor of mine.
Oh, there you go. Okay, yes, she's a very nice person.
Where is she now?
She is, I believe she's living in Illinois, where her daughter has also moved. And she's traveling all over the place. She's gone to many places in the country. And I'm sorry, but I haven't talked to her in about 3 months. But anyway, she's enjoying life.
Ironically, Melissa, if you look around at who's in this room, women still show up in a lot larger numbers here in Florence.
It's kind of been my experience too, all the way around.
It has been mine too, by the way.
Nothing wrong with you guys, but maybe there's just more of us. I don't know.
Yeah, I wish some of us would show up more often.
I wish they would too. I think that maybe it's just something that as a woman we feel that it's hitting home for us, because it's hitting our families and where we are, and we need to fight back against that. And I don't know why men don't feel that way too, but you know, there you are.
Would you hand the mic to Ivy for a second? Because Ivy shared something from Nin, and remember Nin added a spin on the forming.
Oh, yeah,
Just
okay.
when you talk about grassroots organizations, so just share those.
Nin was, we were talking about the struggles that groups have as they form and start to become productive. And I had learned in school forming, storming, norming, and performing. And Nin added transforming at the end. So it became forming, storming, norming, performing, and then transforming as the group matures and finds its wherewithal over time. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Very spontaneously of her, by the way. I mean, she just, that's how smart she was.
Yeah.
She just saw that as the next step.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's the way her mind worked, she was always coming up with something like that. Did anybody else have any questions for us?
I think she has a book available at the Footh, doesn't she? Didn't she publish a book?
She published several books.
She
has,
included,
yeah.
she co-authored a book with me, also about bringing people together in community. Well, there you go. Is that book available for people?
Not yet, I'm still working on
Oh.
getting a hold of her so that I can have her order some books. She's the only one that can actually order the books for me.
Okay, and we'll just right out of time.
Thank you very much to Florence Organizes, and thank you all for being with us today. If you'd like to receive email updates from the City Club, please sign up for our monthly newsletter near the door. Next month, City Club welcomes speakers from Healthcare for All Oregon, a nonprofit group working to promote Oregon's universal healthcare plan, which is currently being drafted for community input. We'll hear an update on the latest from Oregon's Universal Health Plan Governance Board and learn about how Oregon became the first state in the nation to officially work on a universal health plan with a deadline to submit the plan to the Oregon legislature by September 2026. In closing, we leave you with the following words again from that famous person unknown, life's most persistent and urgent question. What are you doing today for others? Thank you.
Really great.
I've got a couple of, it's hard, you know, with what